waste any time.
Call the meeting to order at 6:30. I need.
I'll move it.
Agenda. Moved by Mayor Shaw, second by Mr. York. Any comments? Any questions? All in favor? Good, carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interests and general nature thereof. Anybody have?
None here.
Very good. Delegation.
First time we've had a vote.
Let's say hello.
Oh, that's for me. It's Revenue Canada and the building money.
The lights are going on. Minutes. I don't think we need. You know, can I call Candace? It's taking a minute.
Oh, you're going, okay. Minutes of the previous Port of Johnstown Committee meeting on September 18th, 2023. Do I have a mover? Moved by Mr. Smell, need a seconder. Moved by Mr. Martell. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Carried.
Business horizon.
Before we move on, we're welcome Mr. Hanson.
Please.
Comfortable?
Business horizon.
Business arising from the previous Board of Management Committee, if any. Done?
Nothing.
Okay, discussion item number 7. Port Day 2024. Is going to speak upon that.
You're asked, staff was asked to put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Put it on the agenda.
Further discussion.
Let's have a discussion. Let's have a discussion.
We put it on here.
Perfect. Discussion is on the Port Day for 2024. When would we like to have it, first of all?
Can I speak?
Sure.
So I think I'd probably ask, staff what the best weekends for that would be. And my question, they may say none. But I think we want to have a port days.
Yes, we do.
But I think the second question I would have is that, you need a ship to have port days. We can have port days, and I know we're excited and we're proud of our ports, but we've talked about this before and it works a lot better and it's attended a lot better if we're able to draw in a ship. So asking and picking a date, maybe it's better to try to secure the vessel and then pick, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, I think there are all the points. The getting a vessel is super difficult. The best chance we have is the local for the Griffin or something local coast guard. The other, we've had lower lakes in there before offloading, but that just happened to be they were there and so that it's difficult. You can send it, you can drop a letter and have you on it and send it out. So that's what's been done in the past, but just the experience of the past, we didn't have any luck. So I'm not trying to put a counter on the whole thing. I'm just saying that it's very difficult to actually get a vessel that'll say we're going to come to your port and so on. We tried on.
tried with a military one.
Yeah,
It passed right by and we couldn't convince them to stop.
So they have their itineraries usually like a year ahead, but we can certainly have to look into it and try. As far as weekends go, we're usually in June. And we try to do it, I think, Rhonda, a little after the chat flights, usually that's usually around the time when the 24th. Yeah, so I've got my calendar out here. We're probably looking at 17th or 24th. Those 2 weekends as far as I do.
That's on a Monday.
Sorry. No. We're in.
2024.
I've been wrong years, but.
Yeah, be the 22nd.
Going.
I think you're probably 15th to the 22nd.
22nd, 29th, get around there.
Trouble is 29th is Canada Day, long weekend.
Right.
So what about the 15th to the 22nd? Some, would that work?
Yeah.
I wonder if we could look at maybe one of those cruise ships. Is that possible, maybe? I mean,
Yeah,
the same,
again, they have their itineraries.
no, I know, but if we set it out there long enough, maybe they could rig something up where they do a trip to Ottawa that day or whatever. I mean, I don't know, like after doing up the highway H2O.
Experience, they have their itineraries already done for this year coming up. So I think what we could do is, you know, get some requests in, but then try it maybe for 2025, might be an idea while we're doing it now, right? Not that we won't have 4 days, it's just that if we want to try and get secure a vessel, I think we have to be.
I can bring my boat up too, if it's an issue. So, yeah, I mean, if we don't get a boat, I mean, a ship, the chances are probably slim. You know, that line it up on the 15th or 22nd, but I think we should at least set a firm date and get organized and get, you know, some people, some dignitaries there. And
Yeah, I was wondering maybe we could get there's a small group of us that can start meeting on it, maybe. Somebody from the committee or council, or somebody from the township, and Rhonda and I, start having some meetings on it, would be a
Sure.
bad idea. We did budget some monies for this year, we didn't have it this year, but we do have some money, so that we did have to, you know, look at, for example, flag or whatever we wanna have at our tables amount, we could look at that. And decide what we wanna do as far as, things that may cost, may have expenses, like there's the parking tent, and there's all those things, but we have to decide whether we're having like huge speeches like we did before, we'll build a tent up, or are we just, you know, having a kids area, not the big formal, speeches under the tent, you know, I'm not sure.
I think anytime you can get, you know, if it's Edward again from Akwesasne to come up and speak, I know he was there for the grain dryer, right? Mr. Roundpoint and Chief Roundpoint, sorry. And Francis, I mean, if Frank would come back, that'd be, you know, I mean, anytime you get the opportunity to have him there, I think we should take it and invite them and give them the opportunity to speak. It's gonna further the port's business, especially in a non-traditional manner. I think it's good.
can we set a date, the 15th or the 22nd of June of 2024?
15th, I guess.
Pardon?
15th will work if you want to pick a date. Up to you.
Okay.
Either one, port's good, either one. You guys want to pick one?
What do you think? Any comments? 15th of June?
Why don't we say the 22nd? I meant the 15th is just before a court meeting. That's gonna make it fun for you for that week beforehand, giving the agenda ready and such. I think, unless I'm wrong.
Sure.
Yeah, 17. 17.
So the 22nd, is that what we're? Frank, what do you think? You,
22nd's fine, 15th is probably Father's Day weekend, I don't know.
Did you look it up already?
No.
it is?
15th is?
So it's 22nd.
Yeah.
You want a committee? Robert?
Formal committee, if that's what we wouldn't encourage to have a small group get together. You know, I can talk to Dave, who's interested in the township, and who's interested on this.
Good. This man, this is,
I think so, I loved it.
oh, you're busy.
Okay.
Mark's out, good. So we'll leave you to form the committee.
Okay.
And you're saying you have a little bit of money from this year, 2023,
Yes, you
and then you're probably,
we did like a positive report or whatever, where we don't need any motions or anything.
okay, anything else on the, before we move on, report date 2024? Are you gonna keep us updated monthly, Robert?
Sure.
Okay. Any other discussion on Port Day? Yes.
I'd just like to throw something out quickly with regards to Port Day. Many years ago, and my children were young, there was a Canadian military vessel that was docked. I don't know if that's even a remote possibility, but that's something that we still have pictures of and I still think and remember about, and I've mentioned it multiple times when we've gone by. That was a fantastic experience. And if not that, maybe a Coast Guard. Something, right? Like it's kind of spit all my ideas, but it was the Canadian military was. I can't remember what class it was, but it wasn't very big. It was the Goose Bay. It was the Goose Bay. Yeah, it kind of sounds familiar, right? Yeah. And it was strong. They had a little water cannon on there. You think? Okay.
Maybe some farm equipment on the side as well to see, you know, end to end.
That's the target.
June should be pretty good for that.
Well,
We gotta be on that today, that's it.
Okay, so we'll form a committee, Robert, on that. Thank you. Number 8, action information items. 8A, green operation report. Who's gonna do it, Robert? Michael, okay,
The operation reports, month ending September 2023. The overall grain inventory of the month of September was 81,185 metric tons. The report was busy receiving and shipping wheat. And we also started soybean. We started sweating early this year on the 17th of September. You can see the breakdown on the inventory with the wheat's inventory is certainly a lot healthier than it had been, so it's a very good inventory. Summary of traffic for September, received 30,069 metric tons of grain via truck. We shipped 14,028 tons of grain via truck. We did many vessels and we shipped 2 rail cars of grain via rail. We worked 2 weekends, September 16th and 17th, and 23rd and 24th for Gridiron. Just give a bit of just a summary of the week, basically. So in 2022, our total index were 82,252. In 2023, we had a stronger lean season. We had 110,292. Our shipments, you can see our shipments were very high. That enabled us to also bring in more, which, you know, that is about 30,000 tons of wheat, which turns out, you know, turns into over 200,000 in that matter. So that was very good. For this, same as last one. Labor current year month is 31,008 for 25,734 for the year. Previous year month was 2,761. For the year was 20,066. We're still at an A rated with another inspection next week. And that's the operations report. I'm sure there's no questions.
Frank, you wanna start? Do you have any questions?
It's a general question in terms of wheat. We don't ship wheat out by ship. Where does it get consumed? It's consumed locally somewhere?
It does, it goes down into Quebec. It goes to milling and feed. We've had some portion at Quebec, this portion this year, they've had a lot of fusarium down there, which they can't send for chicken or pig. So we've had a lot of shipments coming out of the port.
And they're all going down by truck.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr. Ward.
Yeah, what's our wheat capacity again? We have to read that what's the maximum we can get to, I guess, is maybe I was saying it differently.
I don't know if there was really a number. If you want to remember, it's about 60,000, but we never actually got to that until we stopped the shipments because the shipments.
Right.
So high.
And the wheat has stopped coming in now, is that?
Yes. Once
And
beans start, that's it.
yeah, fair enough, okay. Then, and I don't wanna beat a dead horse, and I apologize, so on the labor, I feel like that gap is starting to close between where we were last year versus this, in other words. So, and I'm expecting we're probably fully staffed or staffed where we wanna be, where we were last year essentially, so that's gonna be consistent with that, or is that?
I would say we're very close to where we were last year, but we didn't have that last year either.
Yeah, fair enough.
But we're having a hard time getting people.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, good, that's all.
Okay, Mr. Ward? Mr. Mayor?
Just. Reading through. And. So that I've got this right, we moved 14,000 by truck, none by vessel, 184 by rail. Right, and. And the month, I mean, I know I'm skipping ahead to the financial report. But I'm struggling to see where we came up with 1.5 million in revenue. So we have 1.5 million in revenue, right?
Sale of grain. Which is reported on the office report, of support to do with listing it out.
But it only shows 14,000 out by truck and it shows 184 out by rail.
Right, you're connecting its revenue, I think you said. Is that what you were?
Yeah, it went down to 1.5 million in revenue, we generated that.
Right. And so what I'm saying is we had a sale of grain, so that a large portion of that revenue is a grain sale.
Okay. Would it not be
Maybe
shipped?
I'm misunderstanding.
Would it not be shipped? Would it not show out in how much was shipped out?
Well, no, it's a transfer. Whether or not they shipped it out, I think they probably put it on the vessel that was in here, so that would be 1,500. We show up as a big number as far as tonnage goes, it would only be 1,500 metric ton.
Okay.
So we don't want to by vessel. In October. Yeah, this is September's on it, right?
Okay. Sure.
Right, Bill?
Just a question, I'm back on the week, but this is the September month ending numbers that we're looking at here with 55.
Correct.
Where are we sitting today?
Around 51, just short of 51.
Around 51 on a total inventory capacity of 180.
70.
In-house 120.
One in-house 120? Okay. So we're almost 50% right now. No more's gonna move for a while.
Oh, no, it's moving day on.
Oh.
50 months a week or.
Okay, okay, by,
We usually rely on weeks carriers, a months.
really? Okay, that's a good thing, right now.
Well, I mean, there's some big brothers.
No, storage will be full.
Yeah.
Things keep going down the path we're going down that straight, right? Didn't touch on that, I remember. Okay, that's great. Other question, Ingredion, was that non-GMO run weekend for moving inventory for them? Okay. And would we work a weekend like that? Did they pay? Did they take cost charge? Back for the labor?
Yeah.
Plus, and that was,
overtime.
okay. Thank you.
That's just it.
No, just core, I think, core is just timing, right, from last year. Just it's not coming off the other.
Yeah, like even a lot of beans haven't come on yet. They're still on next year. And corn's just starting to eat now. Some guys are just getting like, around here in this.
I have, again, I have a concern with the week too, and you're saying we're going out weekly now?
Yeah.
By truck? By truck? Okay. When you say loads, what's that for, like
40 times per load.
40 tons per load, so about 160? Right, you said 40 tons, 40 tons?
Yeah, 2,000 tons a week.
Okay, good. So we're gonna whittle it down.
Yeah.
That's all I'm concerned about when, especially the beans and the.
Well, I mean, it's, yeah.
Yes.
So. No, we just, through, Mr. Cameron and yourself, we touched on it. And we're probably gonna have a discussion later, but so 120K, is that including how much we have reserved for corn, or is that? You know, we have a cap for corn, in other words, we can't use that.
Yes, correct, this is talking about what's in the house, needs in the house, and needs in the house.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so the corn is good from that, much more.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, okay. That's good, thanks.
Any other questions, the board? None? Concerns, okay, moving on. 8B, maintenance report.
Well. Maintenance reports, September 2023, look at the maintenance area during the month of the following. Conducted monthly premise inspections for the GMP requirements. Replaced guide rollers on all turn heads, guide rollers that are warning for allowed access play and turn heads. Replaced tail pulley shaft and install new direct on 6 receiving conveyor. Oil sample gearboxes will send for annual analysis to determine condition of oil. Repair sheet piling, harbor front dock. Replace 2 broken support rods on number 8 scale. Maintenance of triggers. Replicate install wire mesh covers and implements and basic aerators. Install urethane liner and farms and main dock pit in the annex. To prevent grain spillage. Items from upper log, weekly and monthly dust system inspection and maintenance. Electrical work included ICS and LG control and commissioning non-included pinball. Completed firmware updates to maintain boards and bin temperature monitoring system. All cards from now have the current firmware. Added conveyor start alarms to newly automated Dixon belts. This gives personnel an audible warning that the conveyors are ready to start. Inspect all crosscut samplers in preparation for chip loading. Install new electrical circuits for the CGC grading office. Greenham equipment checks well vessel loading. Install new gate skill positioners for rail skills 5, 6, 7, and 8. These will be commissioned later. And sweeping compressor maintenance, items to look for a lot. Contractors. Private pump service is progressing well with the replacement of the generator fuel system and relocation of the generator, which is very good. And D-Corp completed installation of new electrical feeders to marine number 6. And that's the maintenance report.
Mr. Stitt, sir, you have a question, comments on the maintenance?
Yeah, but obviously a lot of work and. Other guys before. Decor, you talked about them a little while ago, Kevin, or something, they were a new contractor or somebody they've used before?
No, you do the bridge electric, okay, the name of Decor.
Oh, okay.
It's their Ample, it's the same company that's doing it.
Okay, so we've had experience with them before, I just wonder how they were, and how they've been.
They're very good, we also provided backup electrical support for us. We, electrician was on vacation, got us away on the bereavement one time. And that's no problem, we called them, they were there an hour and a half later, and that was good stuff, so they're very responsive, but it's good work and reliable.
It's good to have her back on.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Mr. Lehman? Mr. Mayor?
No, another fantastic visible, it's good.
No, just, I don't know if you had the opportunity to use it much, but how's the automated belt system working out for? We're not a lot of use right now, or is it?
We tried it during our first festival that we had and during commissioning, and we worked it with us with it, and the second time we actually ran it. So I mean, it's gonna be an excellent.
Just need ships to
A lot of work. And it's sorry.
I said we just need ships to arrive, obviously.
That's another subject.
Yeah.
Mr. Smell? Nope, nothing by me. I can see there's lots of work going on. I'm glad you guys are keeping up with the maintenance and the repairs. I'm gonna go back, Mr. Moulton, can you just give us a rundown on the recorded incidents, injuries? I always miss that. In the labor report underneath. Are you touching on that? I missed it under the green operation report.
I can do it again for you, sure. Recordable incidents, we're at the same, nothing last month. Did you want the labor as well?
Yeah, well, I'm fine. I see we're up a little, but I know where the work's going, so I'm quite pleased with If you labor so. The quality report, why do we keep getting A's, not triple A's like we did? Is there a reason behind that?
They don't have enough manpower.
They don't?
We don't.
Oh, and that's why we're getting poor ratings?
It's, there's a lot of, if you come down through the elevator when we're busy, we make a lot of dust.
Right.
We are so busy, I mean, just look at for Louis, for instance, I mean, we have 30,000 tons of shit last year. We're busy with our manning to make sure that we have good grain flow. We don't have days where we can just say, we're gonna take time, we're gonna take 10 guys. We are working on things to improve that, part of that is the bus collection system. I think we were taking great strides in making sure that the elevator is clear. But they are very hard to please, they're very picky about this inspection.
Now, do we get a heads up when they're coming in, like say September 7th, or do they just boom, come? They give us a date or no?
They do.
Okay. So we could be prepared if we're not busy,
Right. I
but
mean,
September,
right
October.
Right now, we're working until like 30 tonight because we.
Not gonna happen.
Trucks coming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I just see
And
where,
what I will tell you is every time he comes, he says, this is the cleanest elevator that he inspects.
right. And then February, when we're a little slower, we'll probably get good marks again.
I mean, that's what we tried.
Right.
We're so busy. I mean.
Yeah.
Bringing corn and shipping corn. There hasn't been a period where we. Take the crowd out.
No, it's just,
Which is a good problem.
yeah, well, yeah, it is, yeah. Okay, no, thank you so much for that. C, capital projects, Kevin, are you gonna speak on that?
Hello, yeah. Not a lot of, a few items changed, I don't know what the whole list. The train was still pushed off to the next year as well, warehouse, and we're finished up there on Friday, October 20th. Reno waterfront, there's a action item this evening to deal with that issue. The dredging was completed. Report on that last month, well, repairs for track bed, the RFP from the league. We held the mandatory site meeting on Friday, on the 20th. So we'll wait the results of that, open on the 14th, see what we get. Just looking again, we're continuing to add collection groups, like mentioned, to make the improvements to make it a little more efficient. Especially in density as well. Generator repair, the generator left down, it's on a new pad, the tank installed, we're waiting for the electrical and mechanical final connection, that's expected to happen this week. The exterior covering on the elevator, that's complete, you can see the 12 bins on one side of the elevator and then one bin on the left side. The automated of the bin valve is complete. Heater cables was complete, pleats. This is new, still waiting on the Bobcat, looks like it's going to be mid-November now. For the delivery. And then the new grain dryer, again, is still waiting on a response from Medbridge on the questions and availability on natural gas. And the other item that we were also concluded before the last month. So those are the changes to the capital projects in the month.
Mr. McCollum?
Kevin, number 5, the Port of Johnstown warehouse, it's now completed, so are we awaiting an invoice? Because the budget forecast is 355,000, and the date we only spent 58,000.
Yeah, that's the end of September, so yes, but
So we're waiting on an invoice, and what's the expectation it'll come in around budget?
expectation is yes, it should come in slightly below budget. I think it's around. We had our windows in this as well. I did here at the beginning of the year in the warehouse, so I think we're gonna end up around 20 under.
And then second question, just quickly relevant to the exterior coverage for the elevator. How long is the test period? So we're testing on both sides. How long will we wait before we make an assessment as to whether that's something we're going to proceed with?
It looks good.
Certainly might get through one season. See, the expansion of contraction, cycling of the temperature and see. I can tell you that. When we first painted it, we went out to the dance, used to drink water, I showed a picture a few months ago, and And it was dry, so we were very excited about that.
Okay.
But now the visual full, so I think it's like what's going on. There's no water in the bottom, so I mean. Personally, I mean, maybe it's my project, but I'm pretty happy with it. It looks fantastic.
Looks
And it's,
Yeah.
performing.
But it's
So
not
when
cheap.
you said we would wait 12 months,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Get through one full season of everything.
Yeah, just see what the UV does to the side and how the other side of that, so we can strong and drag. And rain.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, I really couldn't be happy with it. It's nice, looks great. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody thinks that it's going to continue. Why'd you stop?
What are you gonna do?
I told him that's just for the movie.
That's
It's that little screen. Get excited, Mr. Ward? Yeah, he didn't have it.
Oh, okay. Number 17, for the expanded rail. Move to 2024, depends on business. What is that depends on business?
Well, we were expecting to repeat our Venera Steel, which never happened this year, so really. Projects like that, we kind of wait to see if there's a business for it. So at this point, I think as far as we'll go is maybe design and just come up with some different ideas what we can do in our uplands, and because the idea was to spur off our main line and to have some other areas besides where it was located. It wasn't ideal for loading there. For one thing, it interrupted Master Feeds line, which isn't busy, but still allowed to use rail a little more this year than the trucking. So it's not the right spot for it. So
No, that's right. That's kind of what I thought it was. I just wasn't sure if it was depends on business or doing it until 2024 or depends on business entirely for doing it at all. I guess that's kind of the question. So, okay. That's good. And then, what else was there? I think that was it. That's all I had.
I don't have anything in the capital report, but I do have a question for Mike. If that's, sure. It's back to yours, and I'm just sitting here and I'm trying to rationalize it in my head, and it's a comment that you said about the grain rating or the rating being the single A, and the reason was people.
Yeah.
400 hours more last month than the previous same calendar month the year before, which is equivalent to like 10 people at 40 hours a week. That equals people, and a dust suppression system that wasn't there before.
It's not finished yet. This is the problem. We're still doing everything. And hopefully we'll get dust. Suppression to minnow out a little bit and give it some of the buttons and stop from getting out that we have to do manually. It's just we use the man hours to run the rain now and not be cleaning.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to rationalize it's a tough question, and I'm sitting up here and I don't know, and I feel like I need to know.
I appreciate that question because I mean it's something that stresses me out.
Yeah, okay. No, it's a good answer. Thank you.
Item number 2, the road repair. First, we had a meeting number 1 paving project, sorry, 450,000, all done at 317 or 316. And that was all wrapped up just last month.
couple weeks ago.
Was it a couple of months ago?
For a while.
Okay, that's great. That was the one I was kind of focused on. I think everybody else is asked.
Great work, great work on the capital work. I mean, I know there's still some big ticket items left in there, but it's been work, but just if I can just kind of be off topic also, there's the issue out there, people. So we've heard talking about people here a couple of times. We maybe not this time for discussion, but do we have a number in our head? Do we need 1 or 51 or?
I mean, I've not been in the port long enough to see when we truly have the seasonal worker time, where we bring 6 or 7 people in off the farm, we do the cleaning, things like that. We start with 1 or 2 people that we bring in, start cleaning, and regulate their rain matters, and run get floor, things like that. So I don't know, maybe seasonally, maybe the numbers will maybe
maybe something like that, one more that would help. When you can- Like you mentioned, hire, we do more now. You mentioned hiring, do we actively? Have we out there like job fairs and?
Do I just did it though.
Run it on,
It's hard.
the same as everybody
Yeah,
else.
it's impossible. Not to be so hard.
In my GM report, I had that I attended job fair in Brockville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointed?
Very disappointing. Yeah, of what's, of who was showing up to filter applications. There was, unfortunately, there just wasn't a lot of good applications.
I mean, excess, sorry, just,
Go ahead.
this excess does break us. That's what,
People slap, it's not your first bigger jobs.
no, but I mean, in the elevator, I mean, if we see a trend where you're getting behind, it gets harder and harder to get. That makes me nervous. Yeah, should make everybody nervous. Because that's the one of the guys.
Well, if I painted the real picture, I didn't mean to, because again, but the inspector comes, he says, your elevator is the cleanest one that he ever goes to. He says, you guys don't have it. So,
I'm not saying that, I don't know what the other elevators are like, and that's.
But one of the things is, having time in his complaint, is that when inspectors come, our elevator is very, very clean. So when you look at dust explosions and all that, we're great. This has to do with bugs. And they go and look for them. And so they go and they start chipping around areas to dig up anything that's crusted and so on. And that's usually where they find the bugs. So I know that Mike and ops do their best to stay ahead of that and what areas we think they're going to go to, but it's a huge elevator. And to get every little nook and cranny scraped out, the cleaner your elevator is, the more they go looking.
Yeah.
And looking at little places where they can.
So that's primarily the reading comes from.
And that's primarily the rating and up the amount of bugs.
So for sure, it's in fact.
So our housekeeping code is always very good. But you lose points for an inspection, and it depends where the area is, if you find it in the box baseball out, you lose more points if you find one in the middle of the basement floor. Yeah. Okay, so it's great, so that's where it's not down to an A. Because we take grain from a wide variety of customers, sits on the farm, and greeneries, and when it comes in and you throw the truck and you find bugs, you check it locally. So you're looking for even a set in reality. And this is the summer months, the warm months, when bugs are happy that the temperature is perfect and they can propagate. In the winter, it's cold and they nuzzle down and don't move, they become dormant. You get winters where we can drive the bit temperature down to -20 to 10 consecutive days, we're going to rapid. But we haven't really had a cold. There's a Canadian cold winter over the last few years. That's something we asked for cold winters and it's close.
Bring it on.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
So I mean, you're looking at the year to date, though, we got one AAA, one AA, 3 A's. And I guess if it's, let's just say it's 4 people, is improving this metric really worth like, I don't know, $200,000? I'm not sure if it's not bugging, if it doesn't sound like it's actually bothering the inspector, it's different on the market.
Does-
I don't disagree with you. I mean, it's a very good score. I mean, I'm not sure how we got down this path or something. It's excellent.
I apologize.
He comes and he loves to come where elevators, it's free come here. But, so I was point, I mean, the more we clean, the harder he looks, he's climbing underneath stuff, he's got a scraper.
Yeah.
And stuff, and was that going in your house, going back to your toilets,
You can find it if you look.
Sorry.
You can find it if you look hard.
Well, it's not, that's the thing, right? And then we, as much as we.
Gotta justify it.
I didn't really start here. Come on, what are you doing? Oh my God.
I'm gonna go to the limit and say good job. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have one, it's bugging me, is the new grain driver waiting for Enbridge response for what, about the size of the pipe, or how we're gonna,
Estimates.
pardon?
Estimates on the various scenarios, they sent evidence in committee on what we've asked them for.
The estimate back and forth of who's gonna pay for,
Sorry,
about bringing in a bigger line, is
yes,
that what we're
yes,
waiting for from them?
yes.
there's gotta be a different way to do it, I mean, than waiting. For each bitch response, that's for sure.
I'm gonna I have that letter to go Wednesday, so I'll CC you on it or VCC you on it as well, but it'll go to. You know, it's Hardy for sure, but we weren't really included in the Marine Port, you know, the port strategy, and I struggle with that a little bit, and I've already talked to Minister Sakaria about not being included in the disappointment in that, and I know our MPP has that and shares that same. As soon as he read it, he noticed it. One, it was released on a Saturday, which was very strange, and then two, there was no mention, and they seemed when they were here very interested in it, and you know, that lack of it not being included, and it worried me about the gas. So I already had a conversation with Praveed, and I just gave him a heads up. The letters, there is a letter coming to be asking for a lot of support, and I've been told that actually as of today that MCAT, Minister of Economic Cooperation, afraid they'll actually take the lead on it once that goes in. So tiny bit of movement, but not. That's all before the
Thank you for that.
others.
We appreciate all the support that we get on that. We've gone around 2 or 3 times and we're basically getting sort of
Tried to
every 2 weeks.
try to light a fire this time. See what happens.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the D, financial report, investment update. Robert? Or Rhonda? Okay.
Revenue for the month was 31.1 million, not 1.5.
I got it too.
Which is exceeding budget by 343,000 and number 2022 by 57,000. Grant services are up 50,000. Harbor services remains comparable to what 2022 was. And our leases and licenses are up 15. Expenses were 479,000 for the month, which is an increase of 42 compared to last year, although we did keep under budget by 52. Municipal allocations honorariums are up 17.5, outside services were down 6,000, materials and supplies were up 17, which is mainly due to the timing of projects, so supplies. Utilities up 20,000, there is an increase. As I was doing an accrual for natural gas, we still haven't received any invoicing from them. Our year-to-date revenues remain strong. We'll continue to stay above 2022 totals and well above budget. Our harbor services are up 167,000. Grain services are up 325. Rail services 84,000. Leases 39. Our expenses, labor's up 216. Utilities 66,000, operating admin, which is up to 183. In that is municipal payments up 158, materials and supplies up 43, and outside services 41, and admin and insurance is up 35,000. Our year-to-date surplus is ahead of budget by 781,000. While the record low inventories throughout the year have impacted revenues by 667, the shortfall has been recovered from increased corn throughput and another successful wheat harvest. The result is the port is in a good financial position while at the same time having more space for continuation of soybean harvest. Our receivables are in good shape. All invoices are 30 days and under. Our receivables are at 747,205. Payables are 426, and our cash money is 6.704. That's it. Any questions?
Good in with you, Mr. McCauley?
No, I'm fine, thank you. Very good month.
I feel the same.
Mr. Ward?
No, a good month. It looks like I'm gonna say a good year. I mean, the margin I think is a little less than last year, but it's certainly doing better on the surplus than we expected when we looked at the budget for the year. So it's looking good. I guess the extra revenue has been directly able to go right into, not into surplus directly, but a better ratio, obviously, because the hard expenses are the way. So good job. You know, it's really good.
Mr. Mayor?
I think I'm good.
Question on natural gas invoicing, still, we're doing an accrual for it. And that's because, just help me remember, what is it, because there's still not an active meter in place?
There is now, and now they're trying to figure out what our invoicing is for this. They told our maintenance Jeff, possibly by November. They'll have something for us.
I'm mystified how they can go back to calculate the usage if there wasn't an active meter. That was the way it played out, wasn't it?
But like we're based on averages over the last 3 or 4 years.
Who's gonna throw a dart?
The meter has.
But basically,
Right now. Yeah, for a portion.
The meter's been up.
Well, the meters only, so we go over the meter ourselves. That has those numbers. It'll just be the time that the battery died. I don't know how long a period that was, a couple months. Yeah, maybe 2 months, so there'll be an estimate on those 2 months. And all we can do is try and keep them. Keep it accurate.
mitigate the potential. Yeah,
You know, to what our consumption was in the past and what we're doing for those 2 months of the consumption or the grain that we drive and so on. You know, I mean, basically you've got to look at a few different variables on that, right? What the time of year it was and whether we're using the boiler and what we're using, you know, how much we're using the dryer and sort of look at comparison. But we are going over and taking our own readings of the meter.
now that the battery's back up, even though the invoicing isn't in.
Rather disappointing, ever since they took over, it's just,
Average monthly consumption would be, or expense through the summer months when this occurred. I mean, I can see it's gonna be higher in the fall with the dryer going full time and running hard and the boiler for the heat possibly. What's sort of an average monthly expense for gas?
From
Through the summer?
7,000 to 20,000, depending on what we're doing.
Okay. And that's kind of why the accrual's in there at 20,000.
Well, it's not just the natural gas, it's some of it's hydro stuff too, but yeah, I approved for a couple of months worth in September.
Yeah.
Just to kind of. Cause Jeff had called them and spoke to them, and when he called them the first time, he wasn't really getting a good answer, and then the next time he said they were working, they gave him a rough idea of what the invoice might be, and so. It hasn't gone smoothly since then, I took it over for some reason. I don't think it's just secluded to us.
I'm sure. But just to give you an idea, in September, I don't have numbers, but before that, a lot of September, we were around 11,000. Because we hadn't started using the dryer at that point, electricity around 40,000. Just to give you an idea on context.
Sure, thank you, I appreciate that. I do.
This is it.
Nope, I'm good.
I just have a question. We have numbers for everything, but the harbor service remains comparable to 2022. What was 2022 harbor service? roughly?
134,000.
I'm sorry?
134,000, and this month was 132,300.
Yeah.
Different. We were down 17.
That's my. Love to see that as well. Good. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, vessel traffic report. Robert, are you doing it or who's doing?
Oh,
I'm sorry, on item, Chair, on item B, there's actually a slash investment update, so there is in the package, right after the investment report, there's an actual page. Number 41. That just gives an update on our investments. I don't know if you wanted to speak to that or.
Yeah,
Just
what-
information.
okay, here, I see where you, yes, can you go ahead then, finish that off, Rhonda, or do you want to do it, Robert?
Yeah, either or. I mean,
On
it's,
page 14 to 41, people.
The old self-explanatory is just a report of where we're at. As far as investments go, we do have one coming up December 31st, so we'll have to have an item. Potentially November, December to look at an action item for that. As well, I think after we find out a little more with our RFP that's coming in for this fairly major project that's happening in the practice that Kevin's looking after, if that's gonna close before the next meeting, as we brought as an action item for the next meeting, we'll have a better idea on our cash flow as well. So we can put something together and get the treasurer and Mr. McCauley involved in that. And, decide whether we want to invest other dollars as well.
So we have 6.2 million in our investments and we have cash on hand 6.7.
Correct.
Okay, so we run almost 13 million.
Correct.
Any questions on the investment? Right.
It's not really the investment, but it's to do with finances. Getting into budget season, when do we use next month? We have a budget chat, or is it gonna be, we know when that's?
We usually in the past 15 that I've done it comes forward in February. And
February?
if we decide to we want to carry it on, then we'll bring it forward again in March.
Okay, so then I guess I'm going back a little bit. Is that gonna impact any of the things you wanna try and do in Q1 and Q2 then, or is it because the budget will still December 31st?
No, you know what, the format that we have, and we bring a lot of projects forward, and you know, bring them forward in January, February, whatever. We've always worked it so that, and as you see, it's happened this year, where everyone at the beginning thought, wow, that's a lot of projects to do, but it's almost like a 2-year span, right? That you're gonna do as much as you can this year, and there's gonna be some that carry over, but you already had that in your budgets to go ahead with. So it's kind of like you're already getting the okay to go ahead with some of this work in the new year, if you can follow.
No, I do. It's just, well, I've certainly voiced it in the past before, right, about how do we make sure that, you know, if there's some things you guys could do during the winter months that you know, or before now, the end of March, could you really do that? And it sounds like you're already on that. So.
And there's a process as well. If something does come up and we need to bring it forward, we just have to bring it to the committee and then go to the council instead of just going to the committee. So there is an avenue if something does come up, but we have to get it moving forward sooner. If there's a vehicle for that.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ms. Blair?
No, I like 6.4. It's a good return.
Mr. Markov? Okay, moving on. Let's do our investment traffic report, please.
Okay, I'll just quickly touch on that. A lot of these numbers we've already discussed, but this is more to do just with the marine portion of the ship. So we are at 523,260. So far this year, we're well up compared to last year. We're a little ahead in salt, but a lot of that is salt is up 400 compared to 330, so quite a bit of that is salt, and we had more grain go as well. Total vessels, we're pretty close to last year. We have a few more than last year, 3 more at this point, and we have some little 6 vessels in the month of September up for salt, and nice to see the calcium chloride barge come in and come back to the port again. It's been a while. We've seen a calcium chloride barge. We have 6 vessels getting brought over and 3 on salt and 3 on soybeans. And we've had a couple for soybean and we've had a couple for salt. And if anyone's guess when the next vessel will arrive.
That's it. Yes. Mr. McCauley?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You're just thinking?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Good, thank you. It's minor. I never realized when you look at these monthly, the volume wise, the difference in salt versus sort of everything else we do, I guess, you know. Is it a big ask? And if it is, don't worry about it. That's what I guess I'm saying. I'd love to see the ships at berth in that same format where we have sort of by you know, buying some grain, salt, aggregate, things like that. I don't know if that's possible or not, but. You know, I don't know if we could break it down so that, you know, it's not just foreign and domestic, but how many ships should sell. You know, I just think that might, you know, I don't know. It was interesting to me,
Is
but
anyone else interested in that? We kind of go by committee as a whole and not do individual requests, so if that's something that everybody wants, we can revamp the spreadsheet, maybe include that of interest or.
Yeah, I think it's useful if it's not a lot of work.
I don't want it to be a big task. But it's-
You okay with that, Mr. Schnall? Yeah.
Sure.
Completely indifferent. Sorry, Mary, here's one that. Now I think about, it. We turned around 2 soybean vessels relatively quickly. About 2 days. But well, 2 and 4 days, so 2 days each. Is that, were we able to do that because of the new loading lanes? How long would it take to do the old loading lanes?
What's the title of
I've never
A
seen.
lot longer.
One of the things I didn't see.
Probably, no, probably a reduction of 68 hours loading. Everyone from the market, they come down, about 1,000 pictures of when you feel them down. They hadn't taken, if we hadn't taken them down when they came down, it's probably 2 of them ran at the bottom, so they kind of. They were not running shape, so they were getting difficult to move. They didn't have the reach, because they don't have to shovel any grain now, we used to shovel. Somewhere between 400 or 500 tons of grain, get them to the far side of the hospital, new special repairs there. Guys are very good at spraying the grain head with the lever head. So yeah, I'd say 6 to 8 hours.
Each ship, 8 hours?
And we have a better opportunity with between lunches and supper. There's a lot of time lost in meeting for lunch, leaving for supper with the automated bins, right, Mike? I think you're able to look at the time right through, so when you think about it, 30-minute lunch ends up being almost 50-minute lunch by the time. It's a long area, it's a lot back and forth too. The supper hour lunch ends up being 1 hour and 20 minutes, so right there, you're saving a couple hours. Right, plus the comments Kevin was saying, yeah, it all adds up. And hopefully at some point, you know, depending on our labor and so on, we'll be able to perhaps split them up a little bit so that our workers are working from 8 to 10 o'clock at night for 4 days in a row. Now we move them around, but the lighter the amount of people you have, the more difficult the strain it puts on your workers, right? You're already working 8 o'clock till 7 o'clock at night, and then the vessel comes in and they're staying till 10, and then you have to do that 4 days in a row. And when anybody's worked that long shifts with 16-hour shifts, you know, it does catch up to you after a while. I think it can help us if we're able to get successful, get more employees, it'll help us with housekeeping, but it'll also help us maybe split up the group a little bit and maybe work a little bit longer and be able to get the vessel done even quicker, which is good for everybody. It's good for the vessel to come in and out of the port quicker. They're paying less fuel. You decide to live for eating, to not burn fuel on their dock. So there's a lot of check marks. But you can see with this automation.
Thank you. We can smooth the grain and salt level too. That it helps us with not having to move the boat so much. You know, when they see that, you know, just put it in a pile, you can put it by so just do that. You don't spend time down moving a lot. Got very good operators who can really operate this. And so they put the grain in there and consolidate the both vessels for both years, so they've never seen anything like it. This they love it's the want to come back because they really enjoy loading the port.
We want them back quite regular too. Any other questions, comments? No. Good report. Next, we'll move on to the GM report, Ada.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we completed the first phase of our land development project. We're preparing our next steps. We'll have to do some test pits. We've got to work at a drainage plan, strip off the topsoil and so on. So we'll be putting some things together for that would be included in our budget. The project went very well. There was one incident where we did encroach slightly on some property that, unfortunately, there was an apple tree that was disturbed during that encroachment. So we were speaking with the owners and so on, and we've made sure we'll make that right, and we'll plant some more apple trees and look after that. I thought it was good timing to mention that at tonight's meeting. The Marina Dock project, we had arranged a mandatory site using night, so we closed our tender on October 13th, and that activated before tonight. Collective bargaining, I have no update to report. We're waiting on a decision from CERB. It's interesting, the last update that I saw from the Fishing Federation on the St. Lawrence Seaway strike, it's very similar to what's happening now. There's 2 days where they haven't been at the table, and they're waiting for a decision from CERB. And so, you know, they're basically waiting for the union to come back and negotiate. So I wish them all the best, and hopefully that will come to an end sooner rather than later. We're still waiting, as we discussed earlier, on the vendors' proposals. We're going to go ahead, though. We are going to develop, Kevin's going to work on an action item for that, for the dryer. We're going to potentially bring it to the next meeting. I think we need to get going and at least get pricing and so on. Depending on, we just can't wait any longer. We want to do it. We want to utilize the grant money and so on. We have to get moving on it. Yes, we're back and we did the video survey. It says there was an audio glitch, so it's very important that the audio went up with the videos, so we know where they were when they were describing the different descriptions of the dots and so on. So that's been completed. The deputy mayor and myself attended the highway H2O. It's always lots of good subjects and guest speakers, and we did the terminal did make a note to that conference that they're building P&H. They're going to get together and build a grain facility with a storage capacity of 30,000 metric tons. Speaking with ops and speaking with people at P&H, they really don't think that that's going to affect port business whatsoever. Very little that it does. At the time of the report, we talked about this strike, and this has happened, and thank the mayor for his support, and the CEO. We put together some letters for different politicians. Myself as well put a letter forward. Chicken Federation, remember, we're asking for letters to go to the Ministry of Labor and Ministry of the Transportation. He's letter MP, so thank you for the support on that. Come to the job fair, we spoke about that already. And yeah, we met with the legal representative to talk about their current contracts. I agree. But that's all I have to report. Questions?
Questions? Mr. Smith?
Industry.
Cameron?
Question with regard to, fantastic, Kevin, I believe you're gonna move forward with some proposals on dryer sizing and pricing. Is there a time fence on the funding that has been promised to us?
Yeah,
With regard to that would be
The end of March 2025.
all spent.
Well, that portion, there could be outstanding money. Their maximum is 2 million, so if the project's 6, we could be through the first 4 million, would be 50% until that is gone. So you can actually have the money spent before the end of the project is.
Terrific. Next quick one, P&H, potential grain storage facility, they're talking about building. Time fence, time frame?
I'm hearing a couple of different things. I think they're well away from doing this. My understanding is you can blast some rock and do some things. It could be as far away as 2 years, you know.
Okay. Last question, Greenfield representative, to discuss our current contract agreement. Is there any more meat on that bone?
We haven't found a storage agreement, with minimums and so on, so they want to look at some of the conditions and discounts and different things like that. So that's the best I can do at this point. Actually discussing the actual terms, I think that would be something that would have to be in camera to discuss.
Understood, thank you.
I don't know, just a quick question about, I heard that, I don't know, you're trying to hire or see if it's possible to hire. Because, and it's hard, you went to the fair and it's hard to get, like, everybody is having a hard time. Is there any, like, programs available, or I don't know if you look into if that field could, be, and some programs available to bring in some foreign workers and on a seasonal.
I think that's an excellent point. We certainly,
Or-
Not looked into, we certainly discussed it.
Yeah. Could maybe,
I did have, a couple of people that were at the job fair, from Ukraine actually, and we bring that up, but it wasn't really, something that they have access to transportation and so on.
Mhm.
So I did point out to them, because they're living with people that are sponsoring and so on in Brockville, and I pointed out the bus system and the river route and all that to them, but I don't think we ever did hear anything back from those applicants, but
yeah.
we'll certainly, take a look at it. Thank you. Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause I think I heard that, I think at Ingredient, what they did is like they rent a place for those next to the Ingredient for those foreign workers. So it's just like everything all together for them.
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Maybe we can look at it.
Be like style, I think. EU and everything. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, my understanding for temporary foreign workers is you have to provide housing. I think that's the catch and the drawback for a lot of places like Burn Bray and Ross, and, you know, when they're trying to find folks to fill the need and fill the role, that's always the difficulty isn't so much finding the manpower from somewhere else, it's finding the housing options for them. Right?
Do they have to pay for the housing? The employee? Or we just go?
I don't remember. the details. I know we talked about it through long-term care for Mapleview Lodge, because there's no way we're gonna find 240 PSWs either, right? So there'll be some trying to bring in temporary foreign work for this one. So my question was to the dryer. And it's just a couple of simple ones. So is there much dryer light left in the one we have?
A few years left here.
Like a few years as in 5 or 10 or 5 to 10?
Sorry.
Okay, and it's the gas line that supplies it, is there much extra supply or is it pretty much maxed?
Information we've got from Enbridge, there's no extra supply.
So what we have is what we have.
What we have, even if we want to replace it, just in our slightly larger one.
Yep.
They're saying no fuel.
Right, okay, so we're maxed with what we have.
According to Enbridge.
Okay, so when we look at the new dryer to purchase. That's because we're gonna see it next month. Are we gonna purchase with the anticipation? Are we going to see a proposal next month that is the anticipated that we get gas? Or are we gonna purchase one that works with what we have? Because I'm assuming that if one is, let's say, 425,000 BTUs versus 750,000 BTUs, there's probably a huge price difference, isn't there? Are they relatively the same price?
No, it's going to be, there's a slight price increase, but it's not double. But between the, what is it, 4.5 million versus 7.2 million, right? There's a bit of a jump, it's not proportional to burn. And to answer your question, we're going for the bigger one. What we heard at the last meeting was we're not putting in a smaller dryer, so we're kind of thinking, okay, that's sort of the number we're meeting. We're getting pricing on small, same dryer versus big dryer. Same dryer running concurrently versus not concurrently. Same time or not at the same time. So we gave them some different scenarios. We don't want to get a smaller dryer. But we also don't want to we don't want to not go forward with the project and potentially of, an issue with the grant. It was very important that we follow through on what we said we're going to do versus grants. And the reason why we are successful with our grants, in my opinion, is because we do a very good job. We finished the job on budget and under budget. And everything was very smooth. I'm very concerned with if we can only get the same size dryer, if we don't proceed, then we've got an issue with, you know, having to say no to the grant. So, I mean, I think moving towards coming forward with a bigger dryer, as far as the RFP goes, so we have the financial data to present. But as far as the data, you're going to have 4 different scenarios that are supposed to be costing. So we're going to be bringing both forward.
What would the life of a dryer be? Like the new dryer that we purchased, how many years do you get out of it?
25 or 30 years. We usually do it 30 years on our asset.
We have up to 10 years left on the one we have. It's maxed out the line capacity. So if we're gonna put a second one in. And we have up to 10 years left on that. If we don't get gas, we're gonna have 2 dryers that can't operate at the same time. Is that like, what's the?
Those are just the scenarios we bring forward to members to get back us. They will not tell us what gas they can give us. We have to give them scenarios of what we could possibly work with.
So we gotta give them a max scenario.
So we gave a max scenario, a minimum scenario, and a scenario between concurrent versus non-concurrent operation. You know, what's frustrating is we only use the dryer 4 to 6 weeks a year, give or take. And so, you know, everything's looked at the max. And so the rating, the ETU rating is always looked at the max. It's not that we ever get to that maximum, but there's always safety things that they put in for their calculations. So it's very difficult to say to them, well, we'll do this and we'll do that. It has to be something that you can operate. You mentioned you mentioned switch, whatever we can put in, that's absolutely, that's something we can do. So you can only operate one at a time. And that is definitely not what we want to do. That would be a constraint on the board. We really don't want to do. And what we'll have to do, we have all the information together to just make a decision based on the size and based on what scenarios they're giving us. And whether we want to go forward, if it ends up we can only get a smaller dryer, but this dryer is slightly bigger than the one we have now.
Would there be included with that when we have to make that decision? Would there be a business case as to why we would go ahead with any of the proposals included with each proposal, so we understand what the ultimate long, you know, the short-term cost and the long-term benefit might be? Because it's going to help me a lot in understanding exactly. I mean, I get that they're giving us 2 million and we don't want to turn that away. It's probably, I've certainly heard it from another minister this year when we didn't use money that was given to us and we were back asking for a different round of money, and it wasn't a nice conversation, and I don't care to sit in another one of those.
So it's future grants you have to keep in mind as well.
Right, yeah, so, and I get it from that perspective, and they like, you know, there's certainly a synergy there between the POJ and them for sure, but I know when making the decision, some of it's going to be that, you know, it's gonna, future business is gonna be part of it, and I don't mean just drying business, I mean, you know.
Yeah, so not all services that you have in townships, you know, this is true, just for hockey units. Not all services have a payback, they get you your money back and make profit on it. Sometimes you're offering a service because you're a facility that takes in grain and corn, and you want to bring in some corn when they want you to bring it in. You're providing a service. So I'm just cautioning that the payback, it probably will not be a Walmart payback. You know, it'll be something you'll really want to look at. You'll have to weigh between us providing the service versus what's the ROI on the actual capital investment. My sort of one of my examples is the rail. When we went to the rail bridge, it was $800,000 when we're doing our return. If you're only making $2,000 in revenue a year, you're paying $15,000 a month in maintenance. Well, the return didn't seem to be there, but we want to be a port that offers rail or not. So it's a little complicated. You have to put it all together. Now, lucky enough, we got a steel project for next year and it paid for all the the rail, but you don't know that at the time that you bring forward the business proposal. You're only trying to take constraints away from your port. You know, you want to take the constraints away that we can't bring in any more corn until the soybean is done. Soybean gets along longer and longer. You know, we make our turns off soybean, we make a lot of revenue off it. So we don't want to cut off drying it until by the time we do, not a lot left in the corn season to bring in the corn. Dry. Now this year we were lucky we got in January, February, March. That doesn't happen every year. So that's a constraint. Or that's how we presented the project. We want to be able to bring white corn in while we're still doing soybean. We also want some redundancy in the system. That whole annex was created as a redundancy to the main elevator, so that if something bad happens to the elevator, we can still operate it at the annex. We've got everything there, we've got scales, we've got storage, and now we'll have a dryer as well. So it lends to that vision as well. So it's kind of everything we'll have to bring forward, and it'll be interesting discussions to see where we're going to. We may decide to grant an excuse for the pipeline so that we can get the dryer and we put the cost of the dryer. Those are the things we're gonna have to bring forward.
And I think, again, in my little brain, I struggle because we had a full port last year and we turned away corn, right? And we certainly heard it, and I struggle with, okay, we can dry it faster, but if we don't have ships to ship it out, we don't have storage to store it, what good does it do us?
Yeah.
That's where this little brain isn't yours. I mean, you know the job better than I do, but this one sits there and goes, well, if we can't get ships and we don't have storage, what good does it do?
You know, the corn is a lot of domestic use, right? So there's two different soybean. Everything goes out and we make our turns to the vessels again. That's what's going to be affected by the strike. Of course, anything backing up the system will affect corn somewhat. So the corn is domestic consumption for the most part. We might ship a couple of vessels to Newfoundland a couple of times a year, if you're only 12,000 vessels. So we might get 24 grand of all the corn we bring in export. The rest is the local producers or consumables such as building, greenhouse, and so on. That's where it goes. It doesn't ship that to by us.
Yeah.
But soybeans are different stores. But what we're talking about corn is to clarify that portion.
Yes. Thank you.
It's a good discussion.
Yeah, it's well, it's so much too, right?
Yeah.
And it's a big number. It's a big number.
Yeah, so I actually had to have that on my thing, but then we start talking about it and things start to trigger, you know. The new grain dryer would be more efficient. I feel like somebody had mentioned 25 or 30% or something like that. So I mean, that if I were to do basic, you know, my small brain math, you know, if it's the same pipe size, we should be able to do 40% more corn, I would, or more drying, I would think, based on that improvement itself. And I do like the idea we were mentioning just a second ago of extra backup capacity. I mean, you know, we're going to see the proposals that comes forth, but I'm still leaning towards the need to have a backup plan, especially when it's more efficient. Because it'll probably become the primary anyways. And we've talked about it before, and I keep thinking, unless there's some reason why not, why would we not have some sort of a gas reservoir? Which doesn't matter if we do this or don't do this. I think it's still a good idea because you could buy gas when it's cheaper some of the other parts of the year, if that's in fact when it's cheaper, and then be able to store it so that you don't have to have this conversation. You can just pull it out whenever you need it for the rest of the year. But anyways, we keep talking about it. I just think that there's a few things that we can do there to help ourselves out, especially for the little amount of time we actually do need to use it, right? So my question was actually about now you've lost me here, Chris. So I'm not gonna talk about the strike. I know there's lots of stuff going on there. Is there a contingency plan we have at all? Is there any way, I mean, getting out of a rail or anything? Is that something that the market is starting to look into, or is that?
I'm sure the brokers are looking at all the different things they can look at. We're trying to, we're in the same situation. We're already looking at things. Every year we go through this with vessels out there. We had our 2 vessels, we were 9 bucks until November 2nd, I believe. So we're kind of where we would be no matter what happens. If it's long, and that's where we're gonna get into things back and some issues. So I mean, we're gonna fill up as much as we can fill up, but we cannot use up our corn storage as well, because we have commitments, we have the contracts. We can't just go and we'll put it in the span over here. That's dedicated to Ford that we get paid to keep dedicated to Ford. You know, that's the contracts we have, so that's a tough one. So when you're talking to truckers or you're having a coffee or whatever, you have to keep that in mind and say, well, why can't we just use those big steel bins? I mean, we have a commitment for those bins, we have to understand that, we have to explain it to them, because it's all an education thing, right? We just need to understand. But it's okay, we can do everything from soybean, and as Kevin said, bringing it back from soybean from the annex, a house at 300 tons an hour max would take you forever for us to suddenly showed up and you had to get that soybean back. So it's redundancy, it helps us. When I say redundancy, I mean it is, you can put it there, we've done it before, we actually have wheat there right now. Which is guarding, and I think we do a very good job at analyzing that, the ops team, and decide that they really take this much soybean if things stop altogether and can't grow. But that's no different than any year, we have that.
Can I go for one second?
Sure.
Just continue on something he asked. So from the strike perspective, November 2nd, that's our book date. But those ships aren't sitting waiting to come here. I'm assuming that every day the system's backed up, it backs up where they're supposed to be. There aren't more ships going to come into the system. So every single day that system's closed certainly indicates or would put a delay on, it's like how many transports there are delivering goods to places. Like we saw it with the Vancouver port strike when.
Absolutely.
When
Once
it
the
happened,
system
right?
backs up, it has to on back up. And
Yeah.
So there'll be certain ones that are chartered that'll still come. And, you know, if I say something wrong, please interrupt me. But there will be changes made, I'm sure. There'll be their elevators that they run, D&H and so on, that they're probably gonna make sure they empty up first now, before us. So there could be, I'm just using the analogy that we weren't going to see anything. So it's kind of like for us, it's business as usual kind of thing. It's kind of in every do every transfer you can on there, might to free up the space, give as much soybean as you can get in without affecting your commitments more than this is.
Thank you.
And so lastly then, so this strike, I'm not sure, I know it's the same North Sea where union workers. Not sure all the tasks that they do, so does this affect incoming foreign vessels or is it not separate?
All this, use the laws. So what they're doing now is they're flying a server, similar to. And they're waiting for a response, and it's an essential service. And if the grain is deemed as essential service, they'll be allowed to have workers come in to do those vessels. And my understanding is through our lawyer is that if you not put your essential services, that doesn't stick with you for your whole. We thought that, I think, when we were looking at COVID and that they were essential service, but you have to apply for it each time. So when you're coming into negotiations and you want to be deemed essential services, like they're saying right now, it's like, well, you have to apply a server for that designation, and you have to wait for a reply from them. So that's what they're doing. We've been waiting for quite a while now, and they're waiting. So
So now we've been waiting.
this is Mark Ford has some attention.
Yeah.
And big dollars, so they'll be moving, I believe, on this rather quickly. I would think it would be. I mean, the government does not want to get involved in this. You know, they want them to resolve it. I don't see them coming back within, like, it's been 2 days. It'll be a bit longer, I think. That's just what I think. But eventually, they're gonna have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Very differently, I think.
No, I just, I know we've been waiting to your point. I feel like it's 6 to 10 months or something for a decision on this, so hopefully it's not that long for a decision. We love when they're coming back. Thanks a lot. Yeah. That's right. Oh, yeah.
So they're gonna look. Unfortunately, this time of year, most of the grain carts are left. Yeah, you know, like I'm grain to perhaps we kind of.
Everything's tied up.
Thanks, Mr. Snow.
I just had one question of interest to those riders. Do you wait till the whole product is in the bins, then you drive, or do you drive while it's coming in?
I do. I don't do the new drives, I will have 2 dedicated veterans.
Oh,
When I have sometimes the line and see the door and do or the doors or something like that. Go to the bins and bring it back.
Well, having the new guard, like, It's been said many times, the less you handle the grain, the better the quality actually is, right? Will the new dryer benefit in quality then as well? So you wouldn't handle as much?
I don't expect to see a improvement in quality. You probably use the same type of dryer, tower dryer. There are other types of dryers that are more horizontal, that they are gentler on the grain and will improve the quality. But they are 2.5 to 3 times as much money.
No, my questions take care.
Thorough round of questions. Well done.
I got some back to,
Oh, sorry.
back to the, grain dryer. We got a 42 million BTU now, is that right?
Okay. I don't have exactly on me, so.
But pretty,
Yeah,
and I think we're going to 72 million, the new one, is that right? Okay, and then you said that. That's gonna be, the 72 million is gonna be for corn. Or the regular one that we have is gonna be for beans only, is that right? Is that our intention?
It's
Like-
like depends on the season, but.
If we have the gas line, everything in the perfect world. Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna dry beans with the dryer we have now and dry corn with the new one?
And we, with the.
And we, okay. So the chances are both of them coming on, not gonna happen.
You will get an overlap in corn, but that's what we started with now is the overlap.
We're trying to beat 12 hours later.
Right,
And I'm getting phone calls, from guys, in my corn.
already, corn. Oh, okay,
Every year we hold them off for at least 6 weeks, at least we can't.
It's not phone calls.
but push come to shove, we can still hold them off.
What we're saying no right now, so.
Yeah, and then,
I mean, that's the scenario described is what we have now, but everything can change. We
Yeah.
have commodities,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
season's different. It's not like you couldn't, if you had to, with the new dryer, dry wheat or dry soybean, because it's not a preference, soybean, because it gets better, shipped out by us.
right,
It's not to say you couldn't ever do it, we have had soybean with there before,
right, that's right,
right?
but we wanna keep the beans.
But we only did it once.
Yeah.
There's a reason we only did it once, but we had a heck of a time getting back to the house in time for the vessels. It takes a lot of manpower.
Mhm.
At 300 an hour, when you're doing those transfers, you can't receive in certain pits. So it's not like you can do it at the same time you're operating, right?
I just thought it was just gonna be for corn only, and wheat. I didn't think we would do beans, and we probably wouldn't do beans with the
We
new.
would,
No,
Yeah.
just because of that. Yeah. I just got one more question too with regards to the Picton terminal. It says agreement with P and H. Who's P and H?
Harrison,
Okay.
we
Now,
do
who
it
are,
as well, they're the ones that brought 2 vessels in earlier. So we do a lot last year as well, a lot of our product, soybean is moved to.
so they're building that on behalf of the Picton
I
terminal?
have no idea what the
The
agreement
agreement?
is, all they did was make, they did their presentation, and then we have a special announcement made. And, that was it, was just 30,000, we put an agreement together, when I spoke to. Some gentlemen that I know in the business, and know some other people in the business, they were surprised that that announcement was made, and that. It's probably gonna be a while before we see it up and running, it's not like it's going to be.
Yeah, I was surprised by talking to that lady for an hour.
That was pretty close to their.
Yes, she did. Wow. Oh, I think they're long ones, that term,
Well,
just because of the people that they have to go through.
well, it's, if you go to the terminals that they have the challenges there.
Yeah.
They're on a cliff, so it's.
They're not,
There's a lot of plastic, but they're construction company.
yeah,
And they put a lot of money into their port. Camp's a big construction company, and they, they use the rock, they blast out, like it's a different scenario. They work and stuff, right? So the price tag drops quite a bit for doing a lot of this work. Right?
and one more, you attend the local job fair in Brockville, you said you're very disappointed, so we didn't get anything out of that?
Yeah, but
There's a couple like problems, but it's no response.
we're also dealing with a very low starting rate to the port. We've gotta get get our wages put up, and we're, right now, we're heading down. We wanna put them up, but we've gotta do it through collective bargaining.
We gotta do everything.
We haven't had a collective agreements in 21, and we're trying to be competitive between these people, and while everyone around us is offering $20+ an hour, and we're at 17. It's very difficult. We had some come in, and if you had one gentleman, Mike, who can speak for you, they came and sat down, so we can find out what the starting salary was, he was gone, sort of thing, so.
You said, did you say you still last?
Really?
Yeah, so it's.
Not gonna work for some, honestly. And then you're saying that if we wanna bring it up to $3, the union's all for it, or we bring everybody else up to.
Well, I'm not saying that, but that's what you gotta be careful of. You know, we don't negotiate, well, I don't wanna get into.
No.
specifics of negotiation, but, that's a challenge, that's for sure. What you're saying is, you know, we try to keep it separate. Just give you a little bit of history. The casuals always had separate contracts. And at some point before I started, they combined them together and made them one contract. So there's sections in there that are just for casuals. We try to keep it separate in our negotiations. Put it that way.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okey-dokey. I need a mover for A, B, C, D, and E, and F. Moved by the mayor, seconded by Mr. Ward. Any more discussions? Questions on this? All in favor? Okay. Gee, like an auctioneer. You are.
You're just looking at something here, I scratched my head, you moved.
Gee, Marine Waterfront Project. Who is gonna be?
I would be fine if it was to care of.
Okay.
This tonight was to be fun fact for the Terra Marina water. We released the property to St. Lawrence Marina. We conducted some inspections back in 2022, and I noticed it prior to that, but anyways, they are happening and they need to be repaired. We presented our capital budget presentation, and we were given the green light still in attendance there. Someone did so. Just to explain a little bit of the scope of work. And if you look at the picture on page, right, I believe it's on. This, you know, so we're looking at the zones, let's say 1, 2, 10, 3 that we're looking at here. I think I have down 2 and 3, but we can say 1, 2, and 3. So we'll just correct that, and we're looking at all permits and fees. Part of this removal of 76.6 meters of dock, excuse me. Shoreline restoration for the same amount, and replacement of the concrete pad that's shown in zone 2. We also have a catch basin, approximately 5 meters of pipe that we have to put in at the same time. So this shoreline restoration involves looking the banks, adding digging stone and geotextile, and we'll then add some riprap. It's going to come in one of the different size on a 3-to-1 slope. This time we're not looking at replacing the fuel dock, picture number 2, which is the no work zone, zone 2. But we will be keeping an eye on this. We have seen it move slightly. We'll have to keep an eye on that because we just wanted to curtail the project somewhat and not have to replace the whole thing at this time. We did get a provisional item that includes replacement of zone 4 with the new dock. That would be riprap. It would actually be a boardwalk height dock with a proper dock you can see, right? But we're not looking at recommending that at this time. For various reasons. One of them is the high water and so on. I've taken pictures over there, and the water was being a foot over that dock. So I don't think it's as simple as just putting a new dock there. No one uses that portion, or very few people use that portion of the dock, which is the zone 4. Basically, if you look at the picture, when they park their vessels or put their boats in the water and so on, they're not walking up and down that area, but we would look at it. We would add some stone to it, make sure we didn't have tripping hazard there or whatever. So, just going on to the policy implications, we did follow those, the item is over 75,000 and that's why it's certainly approval. Considerations, we had, 3 mandatory site meetings, but we just received 2 bids. And I just, mentioned that the capital budget was 250,000. And we had Keel Marine at 126,917 and Tackberry and Summers Construction at 121,066. So very competitive bids. We're really happy with Keel Marine. They did the work for us. They're earlier doing great. I've never heard a complaint about them. They're not the cheapest ones on the block, but they do excellent work and they back their work. I mean, if something's wrong, they just fix it right away. So I'm just bringing forward a recommendation. I was going to go into discussion on this, but I might as well mention the recommendation that you award the 2023 Marine and Waterfront Repair Project number 324022 Eagle Marine Construction Limited, in the amount of $126,917, including HSD with the contingency 25% for engineering and potential closures. And that the Port General Manager accepts in writing the contractor tender on behalf of the Port Jobs.
Comments, questions? Starting with Mr. McCauley.
I have no problem with the recommendation. It's just a bookmark I would ask for you. If you ever do get around to dealing with zone 4, can you also take a look at the slip for boats being removed or put in the water? Because that slip is not particularly good. And it's just east of the provisional area. And
I think it's an excellent point, and maybe a point of discussion right now where we have everyone here is how much does the Port have to fix of his?
yeah, that's right. We get no benefit from the slip.
I mean, it's his business,
Yeah.
and how much does he have in the, so I'm hoping that he might do something, or he might, and once we have the, this approval, I will definitely approach him and say, well, we have this company coming, it could be an ideal situation for you to get some additional work done.
Yeah.
There's additional monies in the budget, so maybe we can do something together, do something, but I don't, that's my own personal opinion. I don't think we should have to do it all for him. I'm just trying to take care of liability so that somebody doesn't get hurt over it. He would like a dock along the whole thing, but it's triple the money and there's no revenue. It looks nice, but when your high water comes in, and I've got pictures of it, it's a foot to 2 feet over where that dock is now. So nobody really walks along there. Our idea is to make the grasslands between the dock and the restaurant, put a walkway up there where it's higher ground, right? Nothing fancy, but a path up there that people can then access the slopes that way. But I think you bring a really good point. It's a matter of how much, with the revenue that we get from that property, how much we really want to move to there. I'm looking at it more from a liability standpoint rather than aesthetically making this huge investment, because we could spend a lot of money there if we wanted to really beautify it and do all these things, but
It's one of those awkward things where the township has slips in Carp, but it has nothing in the western end along the river. The only place to put a boat in the water on the western end of the river is at the bridge. The slips is in there. The one in Prescott is much better. Much more easily accessed. So it's a point. It's not for this because you're not dealing with that zone, right? At a point it might be used to discussion.
I don't wonder what everyone else feels.
Well, I don't even know where you got that picture. It sure wasn't recent.
Which picture?
This one on page 19 of 41. Because where'd that old houseboat and all that junk went go?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess the satellite is passing over the great time. No, it certainly doesn't look like that. Today.
No. And you're right, Frank, but it's almost like it's like Master Feeds. I mean, we did all that paving, and all they had to do is pay for that little section, and they wouldn't. I mean, it's and there, and if you go by, it looks terrible. We have our section all nice and paved, and where they park their trucks, it's all beat up. And I mean, it'd be great if we could get a little bit of it. No, I agree with your liability. I mean, we gotta really keep an eye on the where the gas tank is. That, I mean, the rest, like that provincial in zone 4. Hey, Matt, you're gonna have to be, you know. You're gonna have to flip something.
Like we were looking at maybe doing the berm in zone 4 as well, because it's literally a third of the price with the rip rapid. But he didn't want that because that's where his boats come up to get rid of the
To dump,
rainwater and everything, right? And since for them to come up, they can't come up anymore. So I thought, well, we're not building a new dock, so let's just leave the dock the way it is and maybe put some stone in the areas so nobody trips, and you can still use it how he wants to use it, right? That was kind of the rationale for that.
But that does make it lead towards more of a leasehold improvement, I would, anyways, I hear what you're saying. You know, I mean, it's,
You gotta balance it, you know, I mean, I'm sure a nice boardwalk would look nice instead of the berm, but it serves no purpose, you know. Other than maybe one vessel could go, or one sort of boat could go on there and dock, but. You know, add a couple more slips if you want for that, is the way I look at it. To spend all that extra money not to use it, other than for people to walk from A to B, but most of the time they're cutting across the grass with the parking in the parking lot. you know,
yeah,
Walking along that area, to be honest, but. There's other, I guess there's other things to consider too, depending on, you know, it's a township, it's a marina in the township, and. There's that too, right?
So it's almost like a rink, right? I'm sure we're not in the rink business to make a lot of money. You know, so we, you know, the marina, to Greg's point, you know, there's a whole bunch of cardinals, well maintained, very nice, you guys a lot. This little different scenario with a business there,
Yeah,
but it, you know, it is a service, right? It is something the township can be proud of. A lot of traffic in and out of there. The marina is not ours, but, it's in desperate need of some repair for sure, so anything would be good, but if he loses if you lose the face, especially back like you mentioned where you know, waste pumping. And that's the only place he has a state of boat, you know, summertime, it can't get busy in there, you know, you got one boat gassing up, another boat coming in. You know, so you hate to lose that to the east for sure.
and, you know, we expected that, and it's definitely in better shape, like it's okay right now, It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I said, that's why the budget is where it was, like we actually have to have more money than that to do the original thought was the entire thing, but you can start looking at the monies involved and the return, and just to make it very clear, the rate that the restaurant and the marina get on that property is very low, right? We're helping them already, and I want everyone to make sure we understand that.
Yep.
We're not,
And the liability.
we're not taking care of it. We want to take care of liability. We're already, I think, very fair with landlords and what we're charging for that property and so on, right? So that they can make a business out of it. It's how to make a business out of a marina, that's for sure. Without some help.
he didn't. I don't know. That's one more thing. Robert, go ahead.
so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the difficulty we have, right? I mean, we're, you know, in this big group right now, we're wearing our business management hats, not our counselor hats, right? We'd love to say, let's beautify the area, but it's not the right business decision on that. So how do you bridge that? Like, I get what you're saying. So, yeah, it's difficult for sure, but it would be nice to do something down there, but you know, you gotta have we gotta be an ROI somewhere in there, but it's that's fine, that's all. It's a big problem.
Mr. Snell?
Yeah, I just got a couple questions on how far down are you gonna go with cement? Water,
Well, if you look at zone 1, 2, and 3, that's all going to be riprap at the berm.
oh, okay,
And then the only way where place to do cement is zone 2, we're gonna take that pad, you can kind of see it there. There's a pad that's grading zone 2, you see where I mean? Small
Oh, yeah,
little sliver, small little sliver there.
yeah,
We're gonna take that cement pad in and replace it. Okay, so we take that out, put a riprap in, add that in, and then put the grant back on so they can. Get to their boats. That's the idea.
and one more question concerning the boat ramp. You charge to use the boat ramp, do we not?
We just lease the land, you don't get any
But I
revenue.
used to have that.
Yeah, that's good.
So, business.
preferably in cash.
Marcel?
Hey, I didn't get.
Oh, sorry. I thought you went.
So zone one becomes all rock, no,
Yes.
no cement wall. gone.
1, 2, and 3.
And zone two looks like it's the walkway where the dock is.
Yes.
And so that'll become stone, or you're replacing the
First
cement?
we'll take-
I think you said replace the cement.
First, we'll do that zone 2, that sliver that you see there, that's a concrete pad. We'll take that apart, get it out of there. Everything will demolish, well, that'll be part of the getting rid of the dock that's there. And you'll be getting rid of the dock for 1, 2, and 3, zone 3. We'll be taking it all out, that's a 76.6 million.
So zone three will go as well.
Absolutely. The zone 3, right near where the gas pump is, on the lower part of the paper. We want to look at this and be on the east. That's where the worst part of the dock is, that's where the pipe is. I don't know if you walk down there, but in front of the restaurant, take a walk down there. There's
Yeah,
where-
yeah.
So, first of all, we'll get rid of, in order, we'll get rid of that pad, that sliver pad that's in zone 2, we'll remove it. We'll take all the dock out, it's there now, and then we'll put the slope bank, put Gabion on it. Geotextile, Gabion, and then riprap.
So. I'm just, without seeing an engineered diagram, or without seeing even a picture of it, I see what's there, but it's hard to get in my mind so are we talking about losing land to create the
Yeah, the
slope?
land will come back to and if you look at zone 2 at that, concrete pad that we're talking about,
Mhm.
that's where the riprap will start. The slope, that's where the bank will start to slope towards the water. That'll be full of riprap and rock. So it's a basic 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, I believe it's a 3-to-1 slope. So all you'll see is rock, there's not much to show in the picture other than you're gonna see a triangle of the slope of the land, and it's gonna have geotextile with some Gabion, but you don't rip the geotextile, and you just put your riprap on top of that.
So,
How are you getting on the dock?
yeah, how do you get onto
From
the,
land side.
so how do you get to the dock?
Everything's
You
from
walk through the
land,
grounds.
there's no water work here other than. Right, you're not bringing barges in or anything, this is all with that, the
No, they're-
and so on.
They're saying, how do we get to that dock up there? And we're gonna put steps around.
Explaining the path would be, sorry, misunderstanding the question, but zone 3, if you look at that sort of. Tip of it, it's right between the restaurant and the shoreline, we're gonna put a pathway along there. And it's not part of this project. I'm leaving it until this project is done, and it'll be within our budget, but not part of this, because I want to see the result before I make a determination exactly where we're going to put it. But there'll be like a 4-foot path, it'll probably just be stone and crushed stone on the top, and so that the people can walk to where the boats are. And the reason why I want to move it up there is, again, because of the high water. I've got pictures from last year where that whole dock is, the water is right up to the top of the gas, dock, pump top. So nobody's gonna be walking there anyways, is the way I look at it, so move it to higher ground.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
I mean, you end up are there codes that you have to go by? Like, is there accessibility that you have to go by?
They're in charge of the permits and so on, we're gonna have a silt fence around the, curtain around the edge of the dock. You have to go through separation and so on, because there's a conservation authority, but that's all that.
Yeah.
Because that, and the regular, so he takes care of all that, and he locates electrical. There is no power running over there right now. All we're saying in the tender is this is one feeder cable that Matt wants to save, because it runs from his building over to there, but it's disconnected. So we put that into the documents to make sure that they save that feeder cable and are more careful when they dig up that path. But we didn't want to get involved in electrical and any of that. I mean, for him to run electrical over there, he has to run all this stuff. It's code today is different than it was even 3 years ago, I believe, when it comes to radon, it's not.
I think that's more my question is that when we're taking out this wall and we're putting what we're putting back in, it'll meet standard for today, like the walking path and all that'll meet an accessibility standpoint, all that sort of stuff is.
Yeah, I have a certain, width piece along, but you can certainly, we'll have time to look into that if we're concerned with the walking path itself. I mean, it's not in this project, but we'll definitely, I think they're really good points you're bringing up about accessibility. We'll make sure that.
Yeah, it probably doesn't have to comply now because we're not touching it, but I think probably once you touch it, maybe we do have to comply to a different standard or something. But just spitballing it, but
Yes. We're replacing the box, it's different than just putting it.
yeah. Did you talk to Matt about it?
Yes.
Is he comfortable with what the
Well,
plan is? moving forward?
I was like earlier, I'd like to see the whole thing when Brandy got the whole thing would be just, because. If I was him, I would say the same thing, but I explained it to him and he was okay with it, he wasn't upset.
Okay.
I mean, he mentioned the ramp as well, but when we had that conversation over it. I was saying, once we have a little bit, then we get into the conversation with whoever we're bringing in, right? And not to start those conversations.
That's an aside from my next question, but when we redid the launches in Cardinal, Mr. Spencer contacted somebody and they brought in precast concrete that are movable as well. They just hook them onto a crane, they drop them into place, and if they ever need to be adjusted and shifted, they're quite easy to be moved, and they weren't ridiculously expensive. They were surprisingly affordable and they're good. They're maintaining while they're staying.
I will definitely look into that, thank you.
I'm sure Mike could have, the vendor info for you. The question that I would have would be to do with the tender, and there's only 2 people that responded. What did we do to advertise? How did we contact? There's no.
We did our website, we did the newspaper, and we invited, we sent invites out, I believe, to 6 different contractors.
Did we, anybody in, like, I won't name names or any particular names, but did we
I'm surprised there was a local in the township that said that he was going to come with mandatory meeting, he was interested, but then he didn't show up. You got an individual invite.
So no local
I see
names.
the problem.
I'm wondering why there's no local names there.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. Especially the one that's doing a lot of the work along the river.
Like
Yeah,
the exact perfect
I
choice.
emailed back that he was going to be there and then he didn't show, so maybe he's too busy and I'm not sure.
And no bid though, right? Like, I know the meeting's mandatory, but no submission or anything? No submission of a tender, but I know the site visit was mandatory.
Right.
But didn't put in a bid though.
No, you can't if you don't go to the mandatory meeting. Sure. So the only people that can put bids in, and there was 3 that showed up, and out of the 3, the 2. And the third one was fairly local, but I'm not for whatever reason they didn't.
No, that answered my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Markstone?
Through you, I had one question. I think you partially answered it. I was just wondering if both of our tenants had been able to input on this or they were aware it was going on. Obviously, the gentleman at the marina had said his.
Yeah, I've had a very good one actually. I've had 3 or 4 meetings with the owner of the arena, but I have not spoken to the resident. To be quite honest and transparent, I mean, I've definitely made the point of giving Sean a call to make sure he's aware. It's not on his lease property, but it's a good thing to share with him that we're going to be doing this work.
And then just the second thing, this is the time to do that dock if we're doing the rest of the boat launch. Thank you.
Just a quick question. I don't know, maybe in the past years, you already had this discussion. If in the past, the township already thought about acquiring the marina and the restaurant. If that is a door, looking that it's an amazing opportunity. to for the townships, right? And if now we don't have, I don't know, the revenue that maybe we could have, because we get that spot super beautiful and it's so transited during summertime, and I don't know, maybe you already have that discussion?
Well, I think it's an interesting point, and, we do have an agreement with ending in, I believe, April, end of March. Yeah, coming up. So we would definitely, I was always thinking of putting that in, and I usually try to put in any of these agreements, right at first purchase, so if they were to sell, we would be first, what is it called, first refusal. So something like that, you can put in the agreement, but we can have a sidebar to discuss if there's actual interest in doing something like that.
Yeah.
Don't know about that discussion coming in the meeting, but I think they're really good points.
Just for my clarification, there was a lot of discussion about the boat launch to the east of zone 4, if you will. That was land that's currently rented to the marina.
The entire property is rented.
Thank you. So there's no public access, there's no, so I can launch my boat there?
Yes, you can.
For the marina. Tenant.
They are a tenant.
Correct, okay. So most people wouldn't even recognize that as township property or a responsibility.
It's not let something happen. So,
Yeah.
It's not township property though, right? This is the problem, different hat. It's
Well, here.
I'm just saying, that's the different hat
So
conversation.
we were talking about ranks and boat launches as a township concept, so I think it was, that's where my analogy was going with that one.
So I think at the very least, you know, we're taking care of the liability here because that kind of tonight, and if we want to have more discussions on more involvement, in whatever capacity that is. I think we should have another, discussion on that. I think this needs to be done anyways, and the sooner the better. But we can have more discussions on the subject. I just want to take care of it. I'll give you, go for lunch, take a walk along there. If you look at this picture that I have there.
It's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, the pictures doesn't do.
It's not
justice.
safe, yeah.
It's got to take care of, though. It's
does.
trying to find.
Yeah. But the pictures and shows, oh, it's even better. Mr. Smith,
Nope. I'm good.
back to Mr. Mayor.
I just. I mean, we are spending so much time. You know, fixing up. Failing infrastructure and the riverfront, the amount of tourism, I know we've talked agritourism before, where, you know, there is potential to develop there, and I wonder if we're limiting, you know, by going with the cheapest, you know, option to save us now, are we limiting ourselves? You know, for, I mean, I know Matt's there now and Sean's there now, but you know, are we limiting a tourism opportunity by not thinking a little bigger, like as far as continuing the walkway or, you know, something like that. And I don't know if this is meant to be a brainstorm session or not, but I mean, it's one of the first times that I've seen it. So, that, you know, after going around the first time, I'm thinking to myself, are we limiting, right? Are we limiting ourselves there? Because I know the space that goes out, you know, at the end of the boardwalk, that's what it's called. You know, people love that. I don't know how much traffic it gets now, but I mean, with a little more advertising and a little better access to it, right?
Better access, I think we kind of let them load for, it was a nice idea, I think it's 8 years ago now, and I think we need to do the next phase and
Yeah.
making more accessible.
Yeah.
I think if you got a phone call that they can't go down there, great, it's too broad. I think that those are great points. I don't think we're really, I think if we can get that on, hopefully we get this done over the winter, to get rid of the liability, and it's not a lot of money, and I don't know that it's cheap, it's inexpensive, but I understand that, but it doesn't mean you still gotta get rid of that dock. You still have to put something in for erosion control. If we ever wanted to put something nice over that.
We can put some, that's where I was going.
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
can put something over top of
Talk
it.
about Another
Doesn't limit us.
phase of the project, which I think is a great idea, but I think it's a good thing.
Okay, as long as it's not limiting
I
by getting, you know, our inability to get further permits
I just do want
to make alterations.
Place the dock at the level it's at, and if, you know, it's gonna be 2 feet underwater in the spring and everyone's gonna say, why don't you put that brand new, you know, dock in there and it's low, and to make it that a lot higher than that, I think. You're gonna have issues with that as well, so
Sure.
I think it's the best solution for the fine at this point.
I just see it as an opportunity, I guess,
I-
and maybe it's not a today opportunity, maybe it's a 10 year from now opportunity, but I just would hate to see us lose out on an opportunity because of lack of vision tonight at this table, so.
We won't take it.
Any more?
Let's do it. Who owns the buildings? The buildings owned by the port?
They own the buildings.
We own
Their buildings?
It's their buildings.
Their buildings.
All our landlords, it's the same thing with everyone. All our tenants are residential tenants except for one that's on the east of the marina, that's our building.
We actually own it.
Yeah. and That would be probably.
That should be another one coming.
It should really,
Yeah.
I mean, we should, but the kind of own that, they, compared to what it was, they put all the money into it, and they do get a little bit of a break on their fees, because they put so much money into keeping that up to date. So.
That's right. Okay, you need a moment?
We have a recommendation, recommendation that the Port Management Committee awards the 2023 Marine Waterfront Repair Project 324022 to Keo Marine Construction Limited in the amount of $126,917, excluding HST with a contingency of 25% engineering potential over. No, overreach, but anyways. That the Port General Manager accepts in writing that the contractor tender on behalf of the Port of Johnstown. I need to move it, please. Okay, moved by Mr. Martell, we really tried on that, second by Mr. Smell. All in favor, any more questions and answer before we call the question? No comments? All in favor? Okay. Number 9, approval of disbursements, Port accounts. Does anyone have any questions? On any of the disbursements, the Port of Johnstown Management Committee?
I do this.
Okay, Mr. Ward, could you please give me page number?
Page 24 of 41 at the very bottom of the page.
24 or 40. First of all, we got on 24 or 41.
23 and 25.
Okay, and what is it? First on-site
So
restoration?
it was just a question that I believe I feel like the answer will tip my tongue too, but I see we paid the bin wall payment, but then we also paid the bin wall 10% holdback payment as well. Is that normal? I thought we held that back for a certain amount of time and it just, so I. Sounds like you're nodding to.
Well, it's because when they finish the project, 45 days end up to be October 18th.
Oh.
And then that's when they got their second progress invoice to us.
Thank you, Rhonda. They're really slow at invoicing, so one caught up to the other. You've got them 45 days of substantial completion. But they held back their invoice, so by the time we got it, it was time to give them.
So we got 90 days, so you got interest, 45 days of interest, but 90% that we didn't plan it. Okay, no problem. Good, thank you, that's all I have.
That's it. That's it. Anybody else? Any questions on the disbursements? May I have a mover? For the approval of the disbursements, moved by Mr. Ward, second by Mr. Smell. Any questions? Comments on it? All in favor? Carry. Any council inquiries and notice of motions? Does anybody?
One quick inquiry if I can. To the GM, we are done with our aquarium commitment. We paid it all, like it's all,
Yeah,
it's all,
last payment was in February,
it's all done.
February is, they're not looking for more, but.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Certainly not in that amount. But I will say I had an interesting conversation with Jane Fullerton in regard to the railway tunnel. In Brockville, and there is some lighting issues there. And I just, it's hit my mind that it's one of the most highly frequented tourism attractions around, and I don't know that there's anything that would interest the port in an involvement with that, but you know, I just, as an inquiry, I just thought maybe you know, that you never know. I mean, from an advertising standpoint, yeah, small kettle of fish, I don't know, like, it's a pretty cool marketing tool. It's worldwide, right? It's not the Aquatarium, that's for sure. Just thought. That's it.
Well, on that cool note, then what we talk about is today about the jobs, about the port, maybe a point of contact of marketing is our website, and I don't know if we can talk about this, how we want or could revamp our website of the port. So I don't know if that's a point that we
I'm
can discuss.
sorry, I'm having trouble way over here. Revamp the website, is
Yeah.
that? Yeah, I mean, we had a meeting earlier and if that's something you could help us with and maybe come to the board, share your ideas and so on.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you help us with that.
Good.
So Joe, you want to be involved? I know you're in that sort of,
I can be in the loop, sure.
you know, we could arrange that. Working on.
Somebody bring coffee or something, I can do.
So are we gonna revise our website? Is that our?
Well, we need to talk about it.
Okay.
It almost needs to be a bigger discussion, it's a marketing discussion, it's not just a
Yes.
website, it's the page, it's the advertising.
Absolutely. And maybe that's the rail tunnels involved in that too. All together, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Chair's report. I do have a little and I attended the Highway H2O with Robert last week. I thought it was really good, the speakers. I met a lot of good contacts, had a good discussion with their stevedore. That's something I thought we might bring up, that it's sold to a company that they won't be on they're a private company, which means it's probably gonna help us in the long run. Not maybe us in general, but to our stevedore, it's gonna give them more power, according to what I got out of the meeting with our stevedore. So it's great to see that that's happening, and they came up with some good ideas about what we should be doing and how we could maybe drum up some new business too without grain. So, which I was very excited about, and that's something I think Rob and I we'll discuss it later and bring it back to the port, because I was really excited about some of the ideas they came up with that could help us. So, and I met a lot of great contacts. Actually, I'm going out for dinner with one this week. So, and I'm going to the Ogdensburg Port Authority November 7th to their agenda. So I look forward to that. And like I said, very, very good. I thought, and where we came out of it is to collaborate. That's really what every speaker pretty much said is, you know, working together. I don't know how they were going to do, you know, CSL working with a Goldman. I mean, I really don't, but they really wanted to kind of stress that. And a lot of the ports jumped on the on the cruise ship. Cruise ship business, you know, Boda Colburn jumped on it. And a lot of them are very successful, so. It's something that, it was well attended, and like I said, I got a lot out of it, so. Hopefully the strike's gonna be over as soon as it can. We have no control over it. Anyways, it's my 2 cents. Question period. Any question from the crowd? No? Golly, you guys are great. Great. No closed session? I need a moved by the mayor and seconded by Mr. Ward, that we adjourn at 8:40.